Hi, my name is Miss Knowles Math, and I'm here to help you learn how to solve parallelograms when you're given two angles. So there are several properties of parallelograms. So on these two problems, we're going to focus on the property that states that opposite angles in parallelograms are congruent. This means that they are the same, they're equal. So in order to solve for a variable, we're going to set the two angles equal to each other and solve for the variable. So let's look at these two problems. So example 1, RSTU is a parallelogram. So what we're going to do is we're going to label clockwise. And so it says find the value of x if angle R is 4x minus 12 degrees and angle T is 2x plus 8 degrees. So these are going to be the same, they're opposite angles because they're across from each other, and that means that they are congruent. So we can say that angle R is congruent to angle T. So in order to solve for x, we're going to set the two angles equal to each other and then solve for x. So angle R is 4x minus 12, and then angle T is 2x plus 8. So now let's use algebra to solve for the value of x. So let's go ahead and move over the 2x. I like to move over the smaller variable. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2x from both sides. So 4x minus 2x is 2x. I'm going to bring down minus 12. I'm going to bring down positive 8. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do the opposite of minus 12, which is to add 12 to both sides. And then I'm going to bring down 2x, and 8 plus 12 is 20. And my very last step is I'm going to go ahead and divide each side by 2 to cancel out my variable. So 20 divided by 2 would be 10. So the value of x is 10. Number 2, ABCD is a parallelogram. Find the measure of angle D if angle B is 2x minus 1 and angle D is x plus 10. So the first step is going to go ahead and to label our parallelogram. So I'm going to start at the top left corner. I'm going to go ahead and go clockwise, so ABCD. So angle B is 2x minus 1, and angle D is x plus 10. And so these are opposite angles. So that means that they are congruent, which means we can set the two angles equal to each other to solve for the value of x. So angle B is equal or congruent to the measure of angle D, which means that let's go ahead and plug it in now. So we can do 2x minus 1 equals x plus 10. And now we can solve for x. So we're going to go ahead and subtract x from both sides. So remember, you always move over the smallest variable. That's what I like to do. 2x minus x is just x, and we're going to bring down minus 1, and we're going to bring down 10. Next step is going to be to add 1 to both sides. And so 10 plus 1 is 11. Okay, so the question is not asking for the value of x. It's asking us to find the measure of angle D, which means it wants to know how many degrees it is. So now that we solve for the value of x, we can plug it into angle D to figure out how many degrees angle D is. So I'm going to go ahead and to the side. This is one more extra step than problem 1. So angle D was labeled as x plus 10 degrees. So we did all that work to figure out the value of x is 11. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute the value of x, which is 11, in for x. So I can go ahead and do 11 plus 10 to figure out how many degrees it is. So 11 plus 10 is 21. So our final answer is 21 degrees. Another property of parallelograms is that consecutive angles are supplementary. So if they're on the same side supplementary. So in order to solve for the variable on this one, we're going to add the two angles equal to 180 degrees and solve for the variable. So let's look at question 3. RSTU is a parallelogram if the measure of angle R is equal to 3x plus 2 degrees and the measure of angle S equals 48 degrees, find the value of x. So step 1, label your parallelogram by going clockwise. Label RSTU clockwise. So angle R is 3x plus 2. And angle S is 48 degrees. So it might be helpful to use different colored highlighters to see, because angle R and T are opposite angles. But R and S are not opposite from each other. They are called consecutive angles because they're on the same side. So they're on the side of RS. So we know that consecutive angles are supplementary, which means they add up to equal 180 degrees. So a way to set it up would be the measure of angle R and the measure of angle S is equal to 180 degrees. So now let's go ahead and solve for R. So let's go ahead and solve for X. So angle R is 3x plus 2. And now let's add an angle S, which is 48 degrees, and we're going to equal it to 180. So now let's go ahead and solve for the value of X. So let's go ahead and combine our like terms on the left side. So 3x doesn't have anything we can combine it with. So 2 plus 48 is 50. So now let's go ahead and subtract 50 from both sides. And we are left with 3x equals 130. And then the very last step is going to be to divide by 3. So let's go over to the side. 130 divided by 3 cannot be reduced, so you can either leave it as 130 divided by 3, or you can divide them and you would get 43.33 repeating. So this would be our answer, because it just wants the value of X. Question 4. ABCD is a parallelogram if the measure of angle B equals 8x minus 12 and the measure of angle C equals 3x plus 5. Find the measure of angle C. So let's go ahead and label and set it up. So it says angle B is 8x minus 12 and angle C is 3x plus 5. So these are not opposite angles because angle B and D are opposite angles, which means they are congruent. And angle A and C are opposite angles. So we're going to go, we know that angle B and angle C are consecutive angles because they're on the same side. So that means that we know that they add up to equal 180 degrees. So measure of angle B and the measure of angle C equals 180 degrees. So let's go ahead and do 8x minus 12 for angle B and 3x plus 5 for angle C equals 180 degrees. So now let's go ahead and combine our like terms and solve for the value of X. So 8x plus 3x is 11x. Negative 12 plus 5 is negative 7. So now let's go ahead and add 7 to both sides. So 11x equals 187. And the very last step would be to divide by 11. Divide by 11. So now we would have to do 187 divided by 11. And we get x equals 17. Now the question says find the measure of angle C. So looking at our picture, we labeled angle C as 3x plus 5. So now we need to plug in the value of x in angle C. So we need to plug in 3 times 17, because that's the value of x, plus 5 to figure out how many degrees angle C is. So 3 times 17 is 51, plus 5 equals 56 degrees. So the measure of angle C would be 56 degrees.